What's up, guys, and welcome to Straight from the Chest podcast. My name is Justin Groth, and I'm your host on this personal development and growth podcast. Listen, I just want to welcome you, those who are new to the channel. If it's your first time tuning in, thank you for being here. And if this is your second or 250th time tuning back in, I just thank you for your continued listenership. Support of the channel means a lot to me. And listen, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere that's a major platform. We're there. And please subscribe to the YouTube. We just started that, so let's try to get 100 viewers or 100 subscribers by the end of the month or the end of the week. That would be great. But apart from that, if you like the podcast, obviously please like it, show your support there. But I do ask that you also do share it with somebody who you believe would value the podcast as well. The things that are talked about in the podcast and the guests that we have on help to generate more awareness of the podcast, and it would do me a great favor. So I appreciate that in advance. But without further ado, I want to bring and welcome back a buddy of mine, Danny. Thanks for coming back, bro. Welcome to the show again.
How's it going, man?
How are you, bro?
Doing good, man. Stressful, but good stress.
Why is it stressful?
Just more pressure, So I always feel it's good to, I think, to me, in my opinion, I think it's a blessing to always find, different levels of pressure you can handle. So I feel like, it's a good thing. So
you're talking about the business, right? Central Coast Barbell.
Yeah.
So for those people who aren't aware of who you are, not really privy to who you are, why don't you just kind of fill them in briefly?
Yeah. I own a gym here at Grover Beach, old school bodybuilding, powerlifting gym. So, just trying to make things into a reality, the vision into reality. And, I'm glad over time things are becoming more clear. So, and
that the name of it is
Central Coast Barbell.
Yep. So you and I have known each other for quite a while. How many years now, man?
I think about 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, because I ran into you at 19, 2018. It was about 4
2018.
years.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, damn, you got some gnarly legs going.
Right.
Dude.
Pre-pandemic. Yeah. So one of the things that drew me to you, man, was your work ethic, and it wasn't necessarily because I see good physiques all day, man. Well, not all day. I mean, when I say all day, I mean like look in on Instagram or in any other social media platform, you see, and you as well, you see lots of good physiques, man. Lots of pretty physiques.
Yeah.
With myself, I never really admired that because that's all predicated a lot on genetics and drugs. A lot of it, man.
Yeah.
So yes, you have to sleep well. Yes, you have to structure your life and orient it in a way that you can optimize your results.
Yeah.
But look, man, if you have time and you're consistent and you have pretty genetics on your side and you have the usage of drugs, this shit's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You just have to keep going. So what I mean by that is the reason I'm not, and that's not to disparage anybody who does use drugs. Fine. If that's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. I'm saying I like the work ethic because that is what can differentiate you from all the other bodies.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that you can really ground and anchor in that can set you apart from the rest. Because look, pretty physiques are a dime a dozen. And almost all the physiques look pretty much the same to some degree. When you get at the high level, the IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilding, for those of you who are not aware, when you get to that level, man, they all pretty much look the same. To some degree. There are minor differences here and there. And then you get in conditioning, and obviously it's like, it definitely goes, it definitely can change body to body, but generally speaking, to the layman, they're going to look all the same. Same cap delts, chest, legs, back. It's all going to look the same. To the judges, it looks different, right? Yeah. But they're trained in that regard to look at the differentiation between, or rather the disparity between the bodies to choose the winner. So that's a long-winded way of saying I don't care about the bodies as much as I care about what's internal.
Yeah.
And the work ethic that's there. And you've always showcased that. You and another buddy of mine, I don't know if you're familiar with him, his name's Christian. And he used to frequent the gym when it was like Vicks back in the day before you took it over. And him and I used to train there a lot. his work ethic was on the same level of yours, mine, and really, honestly, I don't know who else. I can't name another. Well, also, you and I, a colleague of yours and I, or a friend of yours and I, is Lindsay Diaz. And she's been doing the podcast pretty soon here. Shout out to Lindsay. Her work ethic is crazy too. Most people don't have that work ethic.
Yeah.
And you see it in your gym. I know you do. You're the owner of one of the leading hardcore gym in the area. And I know you see pussies. I know you see people train like pussies. And I know you want to call them on it. But you're the owner and you can't. But you can, but you don't. Right?
There's different ways to tell them.
Yeah, there is. You can't. You can just go up to him and say, "Hey, man,
I think you got more."
You think you got more?
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a very. Go ahead.
That's the least a foot in the door.
It's very civilized.
Yeah.
And politically correct way of you saying you're a pussy.
Yeah.
But why do you think? My question is this: why do you think that people don't train hard?
I think, if I'm gonna be honest, like, I think from my experience, and I don't know, I feel like I base a lot of my, like, kind of the way I see things is kind of like off my family. And I feel a lot of it has to do with, you know, a combination of, you know, obviously like kind of like, you know, their genetic makeup too, because that's also like how you think, you know, and how much like work ethic,
like pain tolerance.
Yeah. Because it's kind of weird because it's something you, like, regardless of genetics, you have full control over. Like, you can do more. But I think there's something like genetic that, you know, that gets you to want things a little bit more, but also a combination of like experiencing hardships. Because I think, like, if you, like, based off some of my cousins and stuff, you know, all of us, you know, grew around like pretty similar, like, I don't know, like, you know, very, very similar things. Like, we're not too far off as far as age, but it's like, as far as like their parents, the way like they treated them really good, you know, like, I know my parents obviously did, like, you know, what they could, and, you know, obviously, like, you know, now like I see that, but it's just like you can see how much pressure like they've been put through. And I feel that has a lot to do with how much they're willing to push themselves, you know, because it's like, to me in my head, like, you know, I try not to judge other people, but it's like, sometimes I'm like, I get pissed because I'm just like, dude, there's so many people that like have it easy. They have so many opportunities, but they just don't push it. Like, it's not even like, you know, the gym's just one example, you know, and it's like, to me, it feels like you're wasting your fucking time. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like you have free time. Oh, I'm going to wind down because I deserve it. It's like, dude, I remember, like,
what do you mean wind down with a workout? You mean
wind down? Like, you know, if wind down just in general, it's like, you
you
know,
mean relax. Yeah,
just like relax. Like, I know I've told you, like, I just have this sense of urgency all the time. Like, I have to always be moving. Like, if I feel like I'm in a standstill, I get worse anxiety. You know, it feels like I have to be doing something. Like, it's kind of weird to describe, you know, but as far as, you know, what gets people to push themselves, I feel like it has a lot to do with both a combination of how they're wired. And I feel like they have full control over that. And I think, you know, I'm sure you've experienced that to various extents, you know, being a personal trainer, of how, like, you know, people will push themselves and kind of how they're already wired, you know, and just essentially trying to, you know, help them kind of push themselves a little bit more. But
yeah, man, I think it's what you said, and it's also how important the venture is to them. It's just, it really boils down to choices and importance when you get down to the nuts and bolts of things. Yeah. Like, how important is something to you? I've had people that I've trained in the past that they have other extracurricular activities outside of working out, and they put more of a precedence on those things, like the play things, than they do with the physical fitness activity. And that actually betters themselves in terms of the confidence, their body in general, and that develops more confidence, and that likely will lead into maybe more or different relationships that they wouldn't have had otherwise, because they're able to now interact with people on a more confident level.
Yeah.
Speak more confidently, have more confident energy when they approach people.
Yeah.
So it really boils down, and for me, that's also what it is. That's what I've seen it, at least in part in my life and my experience. It's what's important to me, and I don't even know why it's important anymore, because I'm done competing and I have no desire to compete again. But I think I've ingrained the behaviors from that period of my life when I was competing, because I wanted to do the best I could do. I wanted to be the best I could be, even if I didn't make it to any kind of level. I wanted to show myself that I have what it takes. And that's the only thing that I discovered that allowed me to know that I had work ethic. I've said it multiple times, but on this podcast and in real life, that look, I don't know. I mean, this is real life too, but fuck, you know what I mean? Like outside of the podcast, I only knew that I had grit when it came to training. Nothing else that I did in life showed me that, in part because nothing else in my life was ever that important. But it was when I found the important thing that I realized, oh, I have that. And I never knew I had that. Like I had it was like an alter ego. And it was worse. When I say worse, I mean more prolific when I was younger. When I was like in the heart of competing, but it still stayed with me. And I don't know why I am that way, except for I default back to my old behaviors, because I know I'm not going to grow anymore. I'm physically tapped out. 8 years, 9 years, been the same size, bro. Legs same, chest, shoulders, arms same, everything same. There's no way that you can train like I train and in 8 years not grow, and like I can still got more left. There's still some more muscle there. There's not. It's done. You know what I mean? But if you look at my weight from when I was healthy weight, about 18% body fat in high school, 165, to now, I'm about anywhere from 12 to 15% body fat, not trying, just regular conditioning, and about 200 pounds. That's about the mean average of contractile tissue that you'll gain, around 30 pounds. And you minus that extra body fat percentage that's now gotten lower, but my weight's gone up higher. It's around 30-ish pounds, man. Mm-hmm. Maybe I have another pound or two spread throughout my entire body that I could gain. But then also I deal with that issue of I'm going to get older, testosterone levels decrease. Unless I'm going to do something in terms of TRT, well, it's just going to get, worse. You know what I mean? Like not worse, but less. I'm not going to be better unless I just look more refined and hard, because I've accrued so many repetitions. We had that talk a while ago. Like hardness and graininess, unless it's genetic, it's going to come from typically so many contractions, so many repetitions produced on that muscle that gives it that. And I don't know physiologically how that happens, but that's just been my experience with my own body and with watching bodybuilders, take the stage for years on end.
Yeah.
And how they look and their physiques change and shift. But it really boils down to, I know I'm losing people here because many people don't listen to this podcast to talk about bodybuilding, but I will say this, it's more often than not predicated on importance, like how important you deem the pursuit, how important you deem the threat, because training is a threat to the body, right? But how important is it to you that you're willing to absorb all of that pain and work through it? How important is it to you? And to some people, it's just not that important, man. And then their pain tolerance also, like you said, there's possibly a genetic, there's a genetic, I don't know what you want to call it, but there's probably something in the form of genetics that only allow the person to adhere to so much pain before their brain, their nervous system tells them stop, but some people can go above and beyond that.
Yeah.
And You are one. Lindsay's one. Christian's one. They're just one, man. I can do the same thing. And even though that seems like, look, I don't want to toot my horn. I'm not trying to display that to do so. I don't need to. We train together, man. But at the same time, when the other thing that bugs me too is when I see kids, and this is just analogous to taking the easy way out in life. When I see kids that are in the gym, and I say kids, I mean like 20 somewhat year olds, and they're inundated with the cable crossover station, and they're doing their entire fucking back and by day in that cable crossover station. Start with the lat pull downs, then you go to the seated cable row, then do some fucking one arm single cable rows from a low pulley. Then they go to barbell curls, or not barbell curls. I'm sorry, cable curls. What the fuck? Yeah. And these guys are like 160 pounds, like 6 feet tall, and they've been working out for a few months. I don't understand that. Like, you're asking us to get on a squat rack. You can start squatting, deadlifting, rowing, doing chin-ups, shoulder pressing. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
But the thing is, those things are hard. You know, I see guys that have some pretty good leg development. The first thing they do, go to the V squat. Mm-hmm. First thing they do, they go leg extension, hamstring curl. Fine. I get that shit. I do that shit all the time. Pre-exhaust. V squat. And then leg press. And then some walking lunges. And then calves. And then done. And that's a pussy workout.
Yeah.
Sure, you can make V squat hard, bro.
Yeah.
But when you haven't developed the requisite foundation yet, you shouldn't be on the V squat. Or unless you have knee problems or something, I don't know. Maybe there's an anatomical issue with you, and the V squat feels better. Well, there's multiple variations of squats.
Yeah.
You could also do split squats, and you could start loading these things up. But I rarely see these people do that shit. It's hard. The threat is more severe when you're doing movements that are freestanding with the barbells, with the dumbbells, etc. There's more to fuck up with.
Yeah.
You know? What's your take on that, man? Because I know you have a take. It's probably similar to mine, I'm sure, but
yeah, because my opinion, like, dude, like cables and machines, accessory work. As much as I love machines. Like, I've been getting a whole bunch from my gym, but it's like as much as like I explain to people, I'm like, these are for after, like, in my opinion, or to warm up. Or
certain ones, right? Certain ones, like that Nautilus pullover, that's a fucking starter.
Yeah.
I would start with that thing, you know what I mean? Like for a back day. But you're right, man. Like accessory work nonetheless.
It's just, dude, it's like, that's what Planet Fitness is for. That's why they have all their fucking machines. They don't have any barbells. They only have a little bit of dumbbells. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard to do free weights. You know, it's just, the free weights require a lot more neurological demand. Like, just hold it stable. Like, you know, you need to figure out the form. You know, I've heard from, you know, beginners and stuff like, oh, like, you know, it does, the machines do help them kind of learn, you know, to feel the movement and stuff, because you don't necessarily have to worry about the stability and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, it's a little, like, it's a little stupid to, like, you know, you're not really challenging yourself if you're just kind of like doing cable machines. It's like, you know, it's just like that's like some shit you do if you're like deloading, you know, like that's when I do if I'm deloading, and I hate it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm squeezing and contracting, and you know, I have seen people, like, you know, at certain people in my gym, you know, like like, you know, they base off most of their workouts they're trying to push themselves like off of a machine. Like, in my opinion, I'm just like, dude, go fucking squat or something and try to hold that with the same intensity. I'm just like, it's a lot harder. You're gonna be like fucking tomato faced and shit, you know, veins all, and you're just like trying to breathe. Like, if you're trying to do that with the machine, like, you know, for the most part, or cables, you know, you're not gonna. That's why I love powerlifting. You know, it's that intensity. Although, you know, I'm always in the bodybuilding at the end of the day, but there's just something about powerlifting, you know, because it's squat, bench, and deadlift. But there's just a level of focus and intensity that like you just can't get hyped for the same as doing like some fucking like cable curls. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you gotta, it's a lot more demand, like just mentally too, you know. It's just like, you know what I mean? So you just,
And I get that, like you're saying, like they learn it technique wise on the machines, but I would argue that you're learning, and if you're not, I should say this, you're learning rudimentary technique with the machines because it's in a fixed pattern.
Yeah.
So yes, you're kind of learning what muscles to hone in on, but I would argue that a compound movement like a V squat or a leg press or something like that utilizes multiple muscles. You're not supposed to just feel it. It's not an isolated movement. You're supposed to work through the hips. You're supposed to develop power through the hip structure and the hip region. And that's the reason why you do squats. That's the reason why you do deadlifts. And you don't do them with the Smith machine. Or you don't do them in a V squat or a fucking or any kind of squat machine in general. Like, and there's no excuse for it. Even if you have knee issues, there's ways around that shit.
Yeah.
There's ways around that. You know what I mean? So the fact is, when they opt for the machine and they levy it on, well, I'm trying to get technique, I'd argue that that's going to be a faulty technique pattern, and it's not really curing technique issues at all. It's just covering up. Maybe not even covering up. It's like you're learning the wrong technique, even though it seems the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And like you said, the neurological demand is far greater with a regular squat because the threat is greater. But if you learn technique, you don't even learn technique. You just fucking do the movement with a machine. It does the technique for you. You know what I mean?
It's got a little instructions how to do it.
Unless you're Gumby and you don't know how to control your limbs, I mean, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So you're not really learning technique. The reason why I think people opt for cables and they opt for machines is because it allows them to focus on the muscle. And to them, that's superior. The feedback mechanism that a cable will provide is far greater to them than what they gather with a dumbbell or barbell curl.
Yeah.
But real life, go out into real life, into gyms all over the world, and ask people, the ones that look intimidating and powerful, ask them how they got their physiques, man. I can assure you, they will not say cables or machines.
It's all just the bread and butter movement.
Yeah, man. I know people that are fucking small that have built physiques. You can tell that they're built. Even if they're 18% body fat and shorter and not that much muscle mass, you can tell that person doesn't do cable work. Because the look of the body becomes different. It becomes more powerful looking, right? There becomes more of a shell to the back. There becomes more of a shelf to the chest. Their arms look more pronounced. Their legs their glutes are more developed. You know, even if they don't have good genetics in those areas, you can still tell the difference.
Yeah.
Where it comes from, where that person got their physique from, predominantly speaking.
Yeah.
And then I see a lot of high schoolers and even kids in college, man. And they're obsessed with isolation movements. I don't know where they're learning this shit. Gymshark models, or I don't know, bro. TikTok, I don't know, but it's just ridiculous. And they're doing these weird acrobatic movements. What the fuck? Just get your ass under the squat bar. Just get your ass on the bench. Just start rowing and start doing these things heavy. Start progressively overloading the bar. The dumbbells, like, dude, 90% of my workouts, or at least at the bare minimum, 80% are all compound dumbbell or barbell loaded movements, man. And I'm like, I don't know, 15 years into this shit, and I'm still doing that. And I'm not even going to gain any more muscle mass, and I'm still doing these things, and I'm still fucking overloading the bar, and I'm still taxing out, and I'm still, this is just a way of life, man. But if I was taught cables and stuff, maybe I would still be doing, I don't know. I don't think so, man. There's just a bitchness that comes with cables. There's a bitchness.
Yeah, because it's just like you're taking the easy way to do it, you know? Like it's not hard.
Right, and it's analogous with life, man, because a lot of people are taking easy way out with things, and
then it's like a way that it's like structured too, you know? It's like it's just got like, it's just already guided for you. It's laid out for you.
Yeah.
You know? Versus like, oh shit, like there's the freedom there, but I gotta fucking handle this thing, Yeah. It's like you're squatting. It's like, oh, all I really have to focus is just pressing up, it's not as hard, and there's always some sort of benefit taking the hard way. It's just whether that be the benefit you're getting more muscle density, and I feel like you do have like this sense of, proving it to yourself too, that you didn't just take the easy way out, it's just, because it's like whenever like I'm doing accessory movements, yeah, it has its purpose, and I have to, obviously like how we were mentioning before, like you have to find importance into it, and there is importance into it, it's like depending on what your goals are and what you tell yourself you feel is important to you, but yeah, it's just doing like free weights is just it's just it to me, yeah, like how you're saying, there's this bitchness, like being a fucking pussy. It's like, dude, fucking man up and go fucking squat some weight, dude. It's like, really, you're gonna do that? Like, come on. It's just like, it's not even just like, oh, like, like just in the gym. It's just like that, like how you're saying, like in their own life, And I feel like you should be challenging yourself, and that's, and I feel for a lot of us, it's just being in the gym is a way, as a method to prove yourself certain characteristics, or bring certain characteristics that are probably genetically encoded into you already, and it's an opportunity to kind of bring that into fruition. Like, hey, like I'm able to be a hard worker in something I find importance in.
You can tell a lot about a person with how they work out.
Yeah,
like what exercises they choose to do, how consistent they are with their training.
Yeah.
How consistent they are with the exercises that are hard. You can tell a lot about a person, man, how they work out. And I'm not talking about ones that I've trained. I'm talking about just people that I've viewed in the gym, in different gyms all over the area.
Like how honest they are with themselves. Like, hey, I've been on this diet. How do you look like? There's the result. You don't really have to explain if you've been on point with their diet.
Right, man.
It tells you. You know, it's just an example of just like how honest you are with yourself and other people. And that's really important, to be honest with yourself. And I don't know, as of experiences I've had, in the past with like, particular people I had to like, I felt like I needed to pay attention to because I'm having them around me, because I feel you should be very picky of who you have around you, and to what levels, because it'll affect you. Especially in your times of vulnerability, if you're trying to second guess yourself, especially if you're handling, you're choosing to pressure yourself and handle more of the pain and stuff, whether that be in the gym or not, that's just like, the gym's just one example. Like, things in your own life, like how many things you're choosing to take on, like your challenges, because all essentially, doing your lifts, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Like, how are you going to choose to handle it? Like, if it gets, because dude, like, you might tell yourself, hey, in your programming, it's essentially your plan and how you're adhering to your own plan. Hey, I have to get 15 reps, and like, are you going to take the easy way out and cut it short, like sell yourself short, or are you going to finish it out? Like, yeah, you might be scared, but it's like the same thing. That's like your spotter, your people you have around you. It's like you're like, fuck, dude, I can't get any more. Like, I'm scared. But they're like, fuck that. Like, get out of your head. Like, no, dude, like, I can see where you're at. It's just...
I know what you're saying. It's not... I know what you're trying to convey. I don't think that you think it's scary. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that you think it's really scary. I think that it's just hard. And because it's hard, genetically, biologically, we want to forfeit. You know what I mean? Or we want to forfeit sooner than expected. But it's not that it's scary, unless like you're dealing with a pain in an area of your body that you're lifting on, and you're like, dude, because I'm sure you've been there. I was just there last week, and I'm there periodically, where, for example, I pulled an adductor the other day. I don't know how the fuck I did it. I don't know which one it is, but when I was doing Bulgarian split squats, I remember going too low. It was probably the longest adductor. I think it's the longest brevis. It might be called that. I forgot, man. Anatomy was so long ago. But I did, like, I felt like when I was going down through the movement on I don't know what rep it was towards the end of the set, my knee caved and hit like a valgus. And then it simultaneously, it twinged like the adductor. I felt it felt like it coiled up. I don't know what happened, but it felt like it coiled up. Same thing happened on my fucking hamstring when I was doing RDLs one day, and I was getting cocky with the weight, and I was doing it fast and not focusing so much on the hamstring, just going through the movement repetitively. And then it fucked me, right? And that was a bilateral movement. The unilateral movement, like the split squat, I never had that happen because typically I'm more honed in with anything unilateral.
Yeah.
And all of the muscles of that limb are working to provide stability to that limb, right? So I'm not like worried about, I've never been worried about pulling shit. But I did that. Like, okay, so anyways, moving into the next workout, when it was my second leg day for the week, I went into same thing, and I was like fucking kind of apprehensive because I don't want, and I remember there was I was like, I'm going to go up in weight because that's what I want to do. And we're not talking about little weight, we're talking about fucking bigger weight, not like, oh, let's go up, 10 pounds or something like that. It was a sufficient load, bro. And it's like, I'm going to only get 5 or 6 reps with this shit. But I know that I don't want to not do it. I don't want to cut the set short. It's not because I'm scared. It's because I'm apprehensive. And I guess you could coil that with, or term it, I guess you could kind of, use that as a adjunct of scared. But it was just like, I don't want to pull this shit again. But I did it anyways because I'm a dumbass. And I took the risk. Because ultimately, if I pull it, I pulled it before and I was fine. It wasn't that much of an issue. Could have been a bigger issue the second time around, right? Who knows? But I guess I was willing to roll the dice with that. And I guess I was just taking things a little bit more cautiously through the movement because I was apprehensive that was going to happen again. It didn't, thank God. But look, the point is, it wasn't necessarily that I was scared. And I don't think you've ever been scared in your training. You get anxiety over the weight that you're going to do and the amount of reps that you want to pull it, or the amount of reps you want to press it, etc. And there's no way out of that psychologically, because if you aim for 10 reps on a 100-pound shoulder press, even if you got to rest, pause your shit to get 10 reps, you're going to get 10 reps.
Yeah.
Because you can't leave that set without it making 10 rep mark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the reason why I use that analogy is because I saw you the other day on your story pressing hundreds. And it was a struggle, man, like it is for anybody. The hundreds are a lot of weight for a shoulder press. I don't know how many reps you got. I'm just using that as an illustration though. But it's like, that's the mindset that has to be there. I guess it doesn't have to, but you should opt for that road instead of the easier one where you're just doing accumulated volume. And a lot of that becomes junk volume at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's one of two paths. It's, multiple paths will get to the end result, but the only thing that matters is that your facilitation of hard reps are there. And I would argue you can't get hard reps with sets of 15, 20, 30 reps with that kind of poundage. So at some point, you're going to have to struggle. You're going to have to struggle in life. You're going to have to struggle with the weights. You're going to have to struggle in relationships. You're going to have to struggle in general for you to create something. Start with weights because those things don't talk back and those things don't hit back. So at least start there. And if you can't, I would argue, if you can't fuck with those in that sense, you're doomed. You're doomed.
Yeah.
You're just feeble and frail at the end of the day. And what way, especially as a man, is that to be?
Exactly.
But if you had that type of grit in the weights or with weight training, regardless if it's transforming your body, because by extension it will, but regardless if that's not your goal, at least show yourself what kind of grit you do have, or what kind of work ethic you do have, or what kind of pain tolerance you do have, and use that as a measure of your effectiveness in that workout or your effectiveness in life as a man. I know it seems like it's not tantamount, but it definitely is. Because if you can endure a lot of pain through a fucking 30 rep squat set, breathing squats, like a Widowmaker set, you can endure a lot of pain in real life. Even if that comes from you getting the shit beat out of you, from you just getting jumped. Well, you can endure a lot of pain and you're probably going to fight back. But if you cripple with the weights, you'll probably cripple with people beating you up.
Yeah. Even too, like just not even just like physically, but psychologically too. You know, how much you're willing to get people to get in your head, you know, that, you know, they probably don't have like the best mindset, you know, how they handle their own things, or if they have their own like hidden intentions and stuff. So it's just like, you know, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, own hidden agendas and stuff like that, you know? So I don't know, it's kind of
like hidden agendas as it pertains to what?
Like if they're trying to get something out of you, or if for some like petty reason trying to sabotage you because it might have to do with some sort of personal insecurity where it bugs them, you know? Because it's like, you know, for example, if someone's doing well in the gym and it's just like, I don't know, it's just some like, I don't know, it's just like when you accomplish something and then it's just like, you know, there's some sort of envious and like you obviously like, you know, I don't know, I feel like if there's some sort of envious, like, you know, I feel like you can be envious of somebody else, but like in a positive way. Like, you know, like, oh shit, I wish I had that or something like that. But you don't go about it negatively. Like you dislike them, you know, it's like, damn, like I'm jealous, but it's just like, it comes with happiness and just like, you know, for that person, like you don't dislike them, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I
it
agree
just,
with you.
but that type of energy like can affect you too. Cause it's just like, you know, it makes you start like, you know, like kind of second guessing yourself too. Cause it's like, I don't know, like, again, how much pressure can you take, you know? Because it's just like, I don't know, I feel like as you kind of start moving up, sometimes you start attracting more attention for what you have, you know, because it's something, you know, that's, I don't know, I feel like, you know, like if you're accomplishing things, like I feel like that's just an attractive thing, you know, because it's just like, obviously, like attractive as in like, you know, people like gravitate towards that, you know, it's just like, oh, shit.
Especially women.
Yeah.
Especially women, because they see it as ambitious. You know, you're cultivating you're cultivating more of a creative thing. You're creating something rather. And that takes ambition. And that's a very admirable trait to women. I mean, it's an admirable trait to most people. You know what I mean?
Because it's like there's just something about it. It's like they have their own way, and just like the things that they set themselves to, like they'll pull it off, you know? And it's like there's some sort of like groundedness in those types of people, because it's like it seems like they have it figured out, even though
no, they don't. They're just willing to take risks.
Yeah,
that's
they're
it,
just
man.
like, it's just you're just on the path. You're like, oh shit, like shit's just going in this direction. Like I believe in, but it's just like almost like, you know, it's just like, oh shit, I guess things are unfolding this way. Like,
Yeah.
but in reality, it's just like, you know, you hear to them speak, and they just speak from experience. It's like, well, I did this or did that, you know, like this is how I handled that through their own experiences. But there's just like they learned that in the past. I'm sure like at the moment they didn't know for a fact. They had to go find that out like through their own experience, you know. So, but
what did you think was going to happen when you took over the business?
Honestly, like it's kind of weird how things are now. Like, 'cause I don't know. It's just weird. Like I never thought it would kind of lay out this way. Like it's kind of like, I don't know, something that like I dreamed of, but actually became real. And it seems like it is still becoming real, like more than I like, you know, I've heard the saying, like, you know, maybe it could work, like maybe it can become more than you ever thought of, and everything you thought of, you know. And it just makes me just kind of think of just like, you know, it's like things can work themselves out, and it kind of makes you feel a little bit more confident and have more faith in your own decisions, you know, especially confidence. Because it's like once you have like one thing happen, you know, because it's like you'll go through a series of things like I got kicked out of school, like out of like San Jose State, you know, because for poor grades, and I was always a straight A student. Like I know I'm not stupid, like, you know, but it was just, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. And it's just like, I feel like, as far as like we were talking about before, like as far as importance, I feel like a lot of the stuff that gave me importance to everything I did and to make sure I made it count was from that failure, and like the way it affected me, you know, and it left an imprint on me. You know, it was just like, I have to become something of myself, and what I've, you know, been dedicating my time to, like it has to work in some way, you know. And it's weird now because it's like where things are unfolding now, it's like, wow, like it actually is becoming into something like, you know, like successful, like thankfully.
And what do you think was the impetus for that?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you think caused that? What was the push behind that?
Behind like me wanting
behind it becoming anything of success?
I think it definitely had to do with just, you know, things I've experienced in my past, because it just seems like various pieces of the puzzle, and just trying, and it just all fit into one component, you know. It's like, because originally, like, it's so weird because a lot of the things in there is just like it's like, whoa, shit, like I've already experienced this. Like I used to be into DJing and hip hop and like graffiti, like I used to write and all that shit, and like, and it's weird because it can relate to what I would ideally want in a gym. Like if I were to have like my dream gym, like, you know, like I went to Metroflex, like the walls blasted in graffiti, you know, it's like people leaving their mark. That had to do with me when I was like all into hip hop, you know. DJing, it's just having the flow and energy of music, you know, and how I am, like I'm really passionate about like music and like, you know, in general, and like I grew up like very connected with music, but it's just like that pertains to the environment I'm trying to provide. You know, it's just like having music that's like, you know, meaningful, where if it's hyping you up, you know, if it's like, you know, for when it was like DJing and shit, like trying to be creative, having your own style, you know, and like how to develop a style, you know, because it's all part of being creative, you know, and having your own thing. It's just like you got to take little things you like about different things, and you learn how to like kind of master it, or like kind of make your own version, and then you just incorporate it into your own like collection. Mm-hmm. So, but
yeah, but how do you think that, because you mentioned that when you started this journey, like you didn't know that it was going to become what it is now. But the fact that you're willing to take the risk, I mean, it isn't really surprising to me, man. And I'll tell you why. The fact that you're willing to take the risk and step out into uncharted waters, you know, you naturally navigated your way through the discourse here, through the things that, like, you extinguished fires as you saw them, you know, and, you know, you naturally gravitated towards things that you put a focus on. So this is called the RAS, the reticular activating system. Whatever you put a focus on, your brain has a collection of neurons called a reticular formation. And this is what, when you put a focus on something, a goal perhaps, your brain naturally orients itself towards things that are going to collect and acquire, or cultivate rather, that goal to become fruitful, or to become something, you know. So it doesn't surprise me, especially with how not only focused you are, but how much you're willing to endure. Because, you know, I've witnessed in the past couple of years, getting to know you, that you're on the spectrum of masculine and feminine. You're sort of towards the feminine. in the regard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in the regard that you're emotionally wound, right? You feel a lot and it affects you. And it's not something that is by any means am I trying to dispense with as a disparaging thing, but it is something that typically a man in your position, especially business owner, he can't be that way. One, because the world doesn't let you, and two, because your peers won't let you. You know, like your bros won't let you. When was the last time you said, hey man, apart from you and I, hey man, I just want to talk. Can I just talk to you? They probably look at you funny. Wait, what do you mean, bro? What the fuck? And it's not like we should all as people talk.
Yeah.
But there's a difference in talking when you're talking to a man and you talk to a woman or you talk to a therapist. There's a difference in the illustration and the content that's there. So you're not likely going to find your way through your friends, and you're not going to find it through the world, because the world, the lens that you look through it is going to be immersed with men that are not going to give you a pass. And I think you've learned this. Most men won't give you a pass. They're going to say, this is how you are. This is what you do. And that's it, man. Yeah. That's it. And you either do it or you don't do it. And if you don't do it, we just coin it as, well, it's not that important to you then. It's just not that important to you. Because if it was, you do anything in your power to make it a reality.
Yeah.
You know, and when you set out to take over the gym and build it to something that you envisioned, naturally, your brain operated as it is hardwired to operate. Collect things that are now more of utility towards this vision that Danny has. That's why you started now. Well, I don't know if this is why, but it's likely the reason why you got so passionate over different machines, finding out about different machines, finding out about different equipment to put in the gym and where to put it on the floor plan, how it's going to look the most, excuse me, aesthetically appealing and going to serve the most utility for, you know, the landscape of the gym. Before that, you walk into a gym, you just, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. That machine's tight. Oh, yeah. But now you look at gyms differently because you own one. Now you look at floor plans differently because you create one. So see, the way that the brain operates is no surprise. You've increased your sense of becoming, and it's now operating on a different frequency than it once was prior. So this is only going to get more magnified, right? I mean, it doesn't stop with just this gym.
Yeah.
This is just a part of the stepping stone. This is the stepping stone in the process, essentially. Where do you see yourself 10 years?
From what, like, I can already tell as far as stepping stone is as far as learning, you know, negotiation skills and just continuing, you know, being like, you know, being aware of how you look at things, like the way, you know, as far as like, you know, being creative on how to negotiate. So I feel like there's a lot of creativeness and like, you know, being like smart about things, because you gotta be, you know, there's just something intriguing about like negotiation. Like it's like you gotta think of, it's like I'm slowly starting to intake, you know, because it's like say if I'm selling a machine, I'm buying a machine, you know, or from like so and so company or whatever. It's like there's you know, there's certain ways to work with somebody else and develop a relationship versus just I'm just gonna buy this, you know. And and I feel like it starts out with like even your own customers and people you're around is working with them, you know. And, just like, I feel like it'll develop, like that's part of the next development, and like things like, as far as I'm trying to learn. Cause like, I've heard about having negotiation skills, but it's like, to me, never really like, I don't know. It's like one of those things, like I feel most people kind of like do like at a basic level is just like, oh, barter on some shit they're buying off Craigslist or something like that. But, I feel like there's more ways to kind of like, pay attention. Like I spoke to an individual today that came to sign up, and he was just throwing ideas at me. And it was just like, cause I think he was like really experiencing like advertising and marketing. He was just telling me all these ways. He's like, you need to reach out to them, and then just like, you don't even, I'm like, look at what this place is. I feel like just a part of that has to do with just opening your eyes and looking at things in different perspectives, and just realizing like, that like thinking outside of the box and constantly looking for different ways, and like, there's always just different pathways. You just got to look. Like in the gym, there's an avenue of selling supplements. There's an avenue of personal training there. Like obviously it's going to pertain to the gym. It's not going to be like, grandma or something like that, grandpa, like, that's not the type of environment. It might be for some of them, but but as far as like, like even like the clothing I'm having there, there's all an intent behind everything for it to all work together. I feel like if you're constantly looking for ways to kind of interconnect things, like you'll find ways to do it, because it's just like, if it's something that you're experiencing, there's a certain way to kind of interconnect, because it's like at the end of the day, it's with people. Like people want to feel connected to. You don't want to feel someone you can't relate to. I feel like there's always ways. It's the same thing. Like, you're always trying to look ways to relate to people, in a genuine way, obviously, or trying to understand, because that's how you understand. You mutually understand each other, but, as far as like, even the clothing, like I just want to, use the gym right now as a platform to kind of like start out other, I feel like for some reason, I feel like the word plants is kind of like a proper term.
What is
like,
it?
Like plants, because it's just like, you're trying to, you have your own little garden of see things that are moving and how they move, like, oh, you're checking like, oh, progressing. Because I feel it's like even if you're to have like the various employees and stuff like that, like you don't have your hand in everything, but you have little like, different things you're kind of like testing out and see which one starts taking off, because other things might dip and other things might go up, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's just different things that might grow into its own thing. You know what I mean? Like
a clothing brand.
Yeah. Like as far as like, like making it into like, using the gym as a platform, as a brand to kind of test out how things like independent, like, there's a platform right now to put like a brand on an idea, because if it's by itself, it's going to be a lot harder for me to kind of put it out there. Like, it's like basically to put in layman's terms, it's like, well, why should I buy this? Well, this is gym. This is clothes. You're trying to represent the gym. It's like, oh shit. Like, this is the, their oversized pump covers, like stuff like that. But it fits with the gym because it's an old school bodybuilding gym. Mm-hmm. That's what they wore, but I feel it's like something that like I'd wear anyways. And it's genuine to me. It's not like I'm just trying to put shit out there just to fucking sell it. It's like there's an intent behind it, but it's just like slowly trying to transition away from it to see how it does on its own,
Yeah, I mean, you put your feelers out there with anything you do. I mean, you're putting your feelers out there with the merchandise and seeing if there's a market for it. That's the name of the game. You just put feelers out there to see if there's a market for this thing. And if there's not, there's not. Yeah. I mean, you can't. At the end of the day, you might have to kill it.
Yeah.
And just move on with something else.
Yeah.
When it comes to like, I wonder how Brad Martin got started, how with his raw gear, how that got started. If he was like, just started doing a gear for his gym, like
yeah, because at first, like he used to, even before he had Zoo, it was he just had his BM Fit Gear. So Bradley
Oh,
Martin
is that
Fit
right?
Gear. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember
Yeah, it used to
actually.
just be Bradley Martin Fit Gear. You just wear it in his videos. That's
Yeah,
how it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
And then it became Zoo Culture. Like he had his own. Well, that was the line of clothing for the gym. I'm pretty sure he still has that. And then now it's like Raw Gear.
Right.
So.
Or maybe it's branched off, and I don't know, dude. But yeah, I mean, anything and everything starts at the ground level, man. Like you're almost never gonna do something that's just gonna hit and gonna be the first iteration and the only iteration.
Yeah.
So it's like you're in the first iteration stages of coining not even the term, putting your brand on your, which is basically the name of your gym.
Yeah.
You know, and then that could maybe transpire into, or I shouldn't say transpire, that could probably transmute into like something like a logo only, and maybe like a one-word logo or something. And then that could be like the next thing for you, you know. But talking about just on the ground level, you know, merchandise, I mean, it could be a big thing, bro. I mean, many people grow company like Flag Nor Fail is huge. Raw Gear is huge now. I mean, and there's Gymshark as well, you know. The one thing that's paramount over all of that is whatever you feel, I don't want to say passion, but whatever you feel like you can't let go of. Meaning it's so important. Like that word important is very, very almost indelible to use. And a lot of people don't think about that word as like anything of significance. It is very significant. The word important is very significant. And you undermine it because it's like people use it so haphazardly. But that word is showcasing relevancy and rather a level of metric that you put on something. You know, whether that's your fitness, whether that's your career, whether that's your relationship, or all those things, or whether it's an entrepreneurial venture that you want to partake in. How important is it? Like, you have to ask yourself that question. How important is this, and how much am I willing to give to this thing? If push came to shove, would I drop it from the schedule, or would I find a way to carve it out still and make it a part of my life? Because I want this to become a part of my identity. Because I want people to know me by this. Because that's something that's important to me as well.
Yeah. Like
it all kind of circles back to that word importance and how important is something to you.
Yeah.
And also there's things that you will do in life that you'll like royally fuck up on, you know, and it will become nothing. And what you had in your mind is nothing of what the outcome is. You know, it just tanks. And then you feel like low because you're like, fuck, I really had high hopes for that thing.
Yeah.
I really wanted that thing to soar, and it just fucking tanked.
Yeah.
But apart from that, you can't let your identity get wrapped up in that also, in that failure, in that fallback. I mean, that shit happens, but think about it like this, and I know you do. If you had never tried it, you would have never known that it would fail. Yeah. And that idea would have always been in the back of your mind as a what if. What if that would have worked, man? Well, now you can cross it out because it didn't work. And then you can underline the things that did work. Like this gym for you. You know, that's going to work. Like even if it doesn't, if it just pulls in what it makes, I know you'll still keep running it. Because I don't think that your main purpose for this gym was to make loads of money. It was just to have somewhere probably to train. I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth. Please correct me if I'm wrong, man. Have somewhere that you could call your own and put your own touch on and make something in this area that we don't have that could leave a stamp on Danny's name as this is what Danny did.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the whole goal, like, at least with that, is just like, you know, like certain things like I felt, yeah, that we didn't have is just to actually make it real, you know, and set a new standard, honestly. Yeah. Just like, I don't know, because like for me, like, you know, even how we were mentioning before, it's like, you know, not pushing yourself. It's just mediocre shit, dude. You know, you go to, every time I go to a big city, dude, people are pushing themselves like fucking crazy. Like there's a lot of them there, you know, and then probably to levels like, you know, obviously like past me, you know, and I'm like, fuck, like there's ways to become better. And I want like fuck, I want to become like better than I am, like, you know, like there's always ways to improve, and like just and various components that are obviously like, you know, genuine to you, you know, there's always another level, you know, and I feel like, you know, just keeping your eye out for you know, those types of things, you know, and just, I don't know, like my whole goal with the gym is just to set a new standard for you know, like gyms around here, and like, you know, but it sounds like both you and I get bugged by mediocre shit, being a fucking pussy.
Yeah, man, to say the least.
It's just, you know, it's just like the same thing. Like I'm just like, dude, like, all right, dude, like I want to put it in a concrete, like I want to have, you know, a go-to fucking spot for a gym, whatever niche like I have. You know, my whole goal right now is to have the best bodybuilding and powerlifting gym. Like, you know, like anybody's, like, you know, as long as you're being like just trying to better yourself, like that's all I care about. You know, it just, you don't have to be fucking like, you know, at the highest level, but I would like to provide that level of support and environment for those types of people, you know, but also, you know, not. It's like myself. If I would go to a gym that's like, I'm going to be around people that I know are better than me. So then I can like, hey, like I'm going to get inspired. I want to go learn with them. I want to go train with them. I want to learn their mind.
Yeah. But you know that pussies can frequent hardcore gyms too. Yeah. Just like they can frequent clubs.
Oh yeah.
Like Fitness 19 and you know, 24-hour fitnesses and whatnot. Like pussies frequent everywhere. And it's, the reason why I say is because it's not the gym that makes the man. It's the man that makes the gym, meaning the mindset of the man or the mindset of the woman. Like it's the mindset that makes the establishment. If you close your doors and reopened 4 months from now, and the only people that came to your gym were pussies, what does it say about your gym? Nothing, bro. Because everybody training in there is pussies, right? But if you had a hotel gym, like not hotel gym, but you had a gym the size of a hotel gym, and it was like, you know, nothing burger in terms of like dumbbells and maybe a barbell and Smith machine, but you had monsters training in there, and their work ethic was unsurpassed, and they were going till failure on multiple sets and beyond, and they were just dripping and fucking bleeding because of the scathed wounds on their shins from deadlifting. Like that would make that gym now hardcore because the people that frequent it make it hardcore.
Yeah. So
maybe you should put a sign on your door that says 0 pussies allowed.
There's one at Metroplex when I went there. It says like hardcore co-ed bodybuilding and just all this shit they have written up on the walls, dude. It's funny.
It's definitely the mindset though, man. Yeah. It's the mindset of the people that are in your gym.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been to your gym, man, multiple times, and I've seen pussies there. And when I say pussies, I mean just men that aren't willing to take it to the limit.
Yeah.
So not everybody that goes to that gym is going to go there for that purpose. Like, cause it's hardcore. They maybe want to go because it's not as busy as like the commercialized gyms, you know? But then you get people that go there because it attracts them, or the factor that does attract them is the fact that it is more rugged and underground, you know? But I know you, and I know me, and I know people that train hard, and you'll train hard anywhere. You'll train hard at a fucking park. You'll train hard in a hotel gym. You'll train hard at an Equinox.
Yeah.
You'll train hard no matter where you are because it's the mindset. The mindset makes the whole gym, man. And the mindset will make essentially the community.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I don't think that you shouldn't keep doing this, like, because this is a separating thing from you and the rest of the gyms, right? And it is going to attract that crowd. But at the end of the day, I mean, you understand it to be that way, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the mindset of the person.
Yeah.
And look, we got pussies at 19, and we got a couple of strong people at 19.
Yeah.
But then again, you have probably more physically, or rather psychologically adept people at your gym, because they go there for one thing, and that environment attracts them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're making it way better of an environment. Like what you're putting in there, what you're adding. I need to come by there, man, because I've only seen this shit in stories, and it's not. I want to see it in person. Since you've revamped it.
Yeah.
But it's quite crazy what you've done with it, man. You've added like a lot of machines, man, and you put a precedence on keeping them old school.
Yeah.
Like not putting in the I don't know, some of the hammer strength stuff and stuff like that. I mean, that's all good stuff, man. But like you've kept it to like Hyperion and Nautilus, right?
Yeah, that shit's old school. I mean, a lot of the hammer strength stuff's old school too. It's just the era that I like. It's just like 90s, Like I'm not biased. I'm just like, dude, if I want good shit, like I want good shit in there, And I just really like a lot of the old school stuff, just the way it is, And then I'm glad it works out with like the old school feel to the gym, So it just. Like there's some new stuff like I want to have in there, like there's like a bunch of Prime Fitness and stuff like that.
Where are you gonna put it, man?
Yeah, I'm running out of space.
Like you're running out of space.
Yeah, I know I am.
I see a lot of your stories, man. You're always posting people like Branch Warren and Dorian Yates.
I love those guys.
Yeah, man.
I just bought their DVD.
Why do you? Okay, so my question is, why do you think you gravitate towards them and not any of the new guys? Like, Chris Bumstead has a DVD, I think, out, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
All those guys have all the new guys have DVDs, but why don't you choose to look at them the same admiration?
They're just grungy. It's just their attitude. Like, they're just like, their videos are just black and white. Like, it's like, they're just intense. Like, they got metal and just like hit, like gangster rap, like blasting. I know like Dorian Yates, not as much, but it's just like they're isolated, there's just like, cause I feel like how I am is like I kind of resonate with that. Cause there was like a point in time where I felt like I was the reject and I was like the outsider. So it's like kind of like that. Like that's kind of what I see, it's just like they're in some dungeon, some fucking shithole, it's just like, dude, I remember feeling like, that's how I felt like where I belong. Like I felt like I wasn't like, I don't know, welcomed like around other, like, I don't know. I just felt like a reject, So it's kind of like, to me, I gravitate towards that. And it's like, I just love like the intensity into it. And just like, I love metal and stuff like that. Like a part of that like feels like kind of like that, just like the rawness to it, not trying to look all fucking pretty and all that. Like super like, like fancy fucking like gym. Like I think those gyms are badass though too, like I'd definitely go train at one of like those types, but I know my heart is in like, like especially when I went to Metroflex, I was like, dude, this is the most grungiest, like dude, I even thought it was freaking gross, but I'm just like, I would still come here and train every day. Like it was 110 degrees. Like I was hitting legs and I was like, I felt like sick and dizzy because it was so damn hot and I would not stop sweating. And I was drenched. Everyone in there was just drenched in sweat. There was no sanitation spray at all. You just sweat all over everything.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, damn, I'm like, damn. And I'm like, yep, this is another level of hardcore, dude. I'm just like, I had a shower after that. Like normal, like I'm not much of a germaphobe. Like, I obviously fucking shower, but I was just like, dude, like I finished training. I'm like, dude, I need a shower. This is fucking disgusting. Like,
cause you probably had other people sweat on you and shit.
Yeah, no, for sure you did. Like, and it was just like, for sure you did. I was like, dude, I hope I don't.
Fuck, dude. I would have went crazy,
yeah.
Dude. Oh, fuck.
Oh, you would have gone in there. You're like, hell no. This is funny because I've been like really like studying Branch Warren and Johnny Jackson. They're training partners. But it was funny because like yesterday I watched one with because Branch, he grew up there since he was like 16. He's been training there. He's like when his 50. He's been training for what, like 35 years.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, so he's like almost in his 50s, but I think he might be in his 50s. But they were doing an interview with Johnny Jackson, and he's like, when he brought him there when they first became training partners, he's like, man, he's like, if anyone that knows me, like, no, I'm a clean freak, like I'm a germaphobe. And as soon as I went in there, he's like, oh hell no, like I can't train here. But over time, like he was just
got used to it.
Yeah, he was just like I just like just the workouts I would get in here, like I got over it. But he said, he's like, yeah, I thought that place was completely disgusting. But
You have to shower right afterward.
oh
man.
hell yeah, dude.
You know,
Like, I'm not much of a germaphobe, but I was like, dude, this is I'm like, this is freaking grimy. But
that's funny, man. I couldn't hack that. I mean, I could for the time, but it's like,
and that makes me think too, because there's like some videos of like with Branch Warren, he's putting his like, you know, like he's putting his mouth like on the leg, on the prone leg curl and stuff, because you know he's like going at it, and I'm just like, dude, I wouldn't have done that shit. Like, I'm just like, you're brutal, bro. Like, I'm like, dude, like now knowing how that gym is, I'm like, I couldn't.
jeez, man.
Like, bring like a couple of fucking towels and just like
yeah,
bleach them, dude.
just no, bring a Lysol wipes thingy, like one of those canisters.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, it's gnarly, but dude, I love that gym. There was just so much character to it, where it's just like, dude, like the equipment was like so beat up, dude. Like I put a funny term to it, like the first thing that popped in my mind, but I was like, but yeah, dude, like the equipment there, it was just like so run through, but it felt like you can just be aggressive with it. Like, I don't know, it had this weird feel to it. Like it was all like shaking and creaking. It was just so used. Like they don't like change the upholstery. They just tape it, you know?
Yeah.
And you can start feeling like the metal like between it, because like the padding's just so worn out,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And it's just like, but there's just a certain feel to it that's just, it's so rugged, and just the way the gym looks, like you just get amped up, dude.
Yeah, but don't you think has something to do with the fact that Johnny, Ronnie, and Branch trained there?
Yeah.
It's and they were like patrons of that gym,
Yeah.
you know, and they got ready for multiple Olympias in that gym.
Yeah.
If they weren't there, do you think it'd have the same significance?
I really don't think so.
No, bro.
I was like, dude, Ronnie made that gym.
Of course.
He made that gym.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise it would have just been some unknown gym. Or it might have like stood out a little bit, but to what it is, like,
nah, bro. He put it on the map.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade a spade. He put that shit on the map.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, like, he put the owner on the map. He put his climb to the top, put all of that on the map, dude. And then Branch Warren just complimented it. Johnny Jackson complimented it, you know. The people make the gym, dude.
Yeah.
You know, the gym is nothing without the people.
Yeah.
You know.
They're the ones that make the environment. They're the ones that give the vibe, you know, because it's ultimately that's the most things you're seeing, you know.
Did you see anybody there when you were there?
At Metroflex, nobody I didn't recognize, but when I went to Destination Dallas, that was a nice gym. That one was really big gym. Like, that actually had AC. So as soon as you walk in, you feel this blast of cold air. So I was like, oh, you know, like the whole building was done. They had like this sick like sign and everything. So, but that's where the ship out all the gas stuff. It's all from there. You can just buy, you can just buy it there. They have gas from Better Bodies that like a giant chunk of that facility. That's where they have all the gas. So it's just like two stories high of just boxes.
Jeez.
Like, that's where, when you order gas, that's where it comes from there. And it's cool. Yeah. And at the front, they have the computer. You can just order it, and then you can go pick it up.
Oh, shit.
It's the coolest shit ever. So I was like, damn, because it was Friday, so they closed their warehouse. Cause like, wait, I'm like, wait, can you just order it? And he's like, yeah. It's like, oh, but our warehouse is closed. But I was like, damn. But when I was over there at Destination Dallas, I ran into Keone Pearson. So right now he's doing 212.
Pearson?
Yeah.
Why is it not ringing a bell, man?
Yeah, he's in the
212 competitor?
Yeah, 212.
Oh, I don't pay attention to 212. Bro.
Yeah, like, I'm not a huge fan of him, but I like his, like, he when he was natural and stuff, like, his physique was crazy. Like, he's got really good genetics and stuff. Like, it's, yeah. But yeah, I ran into him. I was like, whoa, I'm like, that's Keone. Like, I would, like, if I was trying to run into Branch Warren, like, that's who I wanted to run to. Like, I would have been like fangirling and shit. Like, you know?
Yeah, dude.
So, like,
he goes to Destination Dallas?
Huh?
He goes there?
He goes there, and then he goes to some other gym, but I'm not sure if it's nearby. But
He's a lot smaller now when he's all retired.
Yeah.
Smaller. He's like, what, 240, 230, 240 probably?
Yeah, probably. He still trains intense, though.
Yeah, man, because it's
crazy.
the behavior.
Yeah.
The behavior doesn't leave you, man.
Yeah.
Like, even though he's not going to put on any kind of muscle, and if anything, he's deteriorating, not like from what he was. Let's just be honest. Like, from what he was. He's not deteriorating, but he's like, from what he was, 270, whatever he was, man, like just shredded.
Yeah.
I forgot his stats, man, but he's stupid,
Yeah.
Maybe he was like 260. I don't know, but he's a monster because he's what, 5'7"?
Yeah.
Something like that. So, I mean, people don't understand the magnitude of muscle that's on these people when they're standing in front of you. Like these, especially like someone like Nick Walker, he's just a freak, man. He's just a bunch. He's just muscle and a head. And I mean, bro, he looks crazy good. You know what I mean? Like if you like that monster look, he's it, man. Him, Ramy, Ian Valère. I've kind of is that how they pronounce the last name? They're monsters, man. And it's another level. Like now, 300 pounds is becoming normal.
That's
now
insane.
300 pounds off season and lean. Like when I see lean at like 10, 11%.
Yeah. Like
still visible abs, serratus, quads, hamstrings.
Yeah.
Like that's normal now. And these guys are 5'7", 5'8". No, how tall is Nick? 5'10"?
I'm not too sure.
He's no taller than 5'9", 5'10", man, I don't think.
Yeah.
Insane, man. They're just walking brick houses, man.
Yeah.
And it's freaky. I remember when I went to my first competition ever, I saw these guys because it was an NPC sanctioned event. I only competed in NPC. And I saw these freaks walking around. I say freaks in a good way because these guys just had shoulders on traps, on everything, bro. I mean, these guys were just jacked. And it's like, you've never seen a level of that muscularity like where we live.
Yeah.
So when you see it, you're just like,
it's just crazy.
what? That's not real, dude.
Yeah.
There's no way. That's not real. And this is when the time that Affliction was really big, Affliction tees.
Yeah.
And so all these mass monsters would be wearing these Affliction tees, and the sister company of Affliction, I forgot what it was. But they would be wearing all bejeweled and shit. Oh, like Ed Hardy, not sister company, but Ed Hardy. That's not a sister company, but yeah, they would be wearing like Ed Hardy and Affliction and shit. And I remember the first freak I ever saw was one of the judges, Tamer El-Gindi. Do you know who Tamer is?
No.
He's one of the, I don't know if he's still the head judge, but he was. I'm pretty sure he still is, but I'm not for sure. Tamer, he had the most cartoon looking shoulders I'd ever seen.
Shit.
And I mean, like, even to this day, I look back at what I remember seeing with him and I'm like, that's just cartoonish, man. It was just so, it looked like he was wearing football gear, like a football chest protector, shoulder pad gear.
Really?
That's what it looked. That's how crazy his shoulders were, bro. And he was short.
Yeah.
You know, he's like 5'8", 5'7", 5'9", I don't know, somewhere in that bracket. And so he looks even more crazy. You know, you expect that from somebody who's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Not even then. I mean, the shoulders on this guy were just insane. But yeah, I don't know how I got off on that tangent. But freaks,
man.
bro. Freaks of nature, man. And you can't get that big unless you have the genetics to get that big. That's what people don't understand too. Yeah. It's like you can do all the drugs in the world, man. You could train your ass off. If you're not a high level elite responder to the drugs, you're not going to grow, man. You're not going to get that big. Yeah. Like it's just that even to get 600, 700 pounds of body, like these 600 pound life people that you see on TV, it takes genetics to get that fat.
Yeah.
Some people can never get that fat even if they try. Like their genetics will not allow them to gain that much fat and accrue that much fat on their body. Same thing with muscle tissue. Like it takes a genetic, I don't want to call it abnormality, but it takes like a certain genetic type to respond favorably to the drugs to that degree that you grow that much contractile tissue on the body.
Yeah.
And you don't stop. You know what I mean? Like myostatin is not even a situation anymore. You know, it's like that's not even a hurdle. You're just you continuously grow. And it's not like I said, some people like 212s. Do you think people in 212s only want to be 212? Probably some.
I feel like they'd probably want to be bigger.
But they probably want to be bigger. Some of them probably want to be bigger, bro. I mean, we haven't talked to them. We don't know for sure. But when you're already a freak at 212, like Flex Lewis arguably looked like he was 250, 260, man. I'm sure he'd want to be bigger. But then again, he dominated 212 for so long. It's like he's going to stay there because he's dominating it, you know? So that's the only reason why you'd probably stay at 212 if you're dominating it. But if you're like a 6th, 7th, 8th placer, I would imagine you'd want to be bigger, you know, if you could. That's what people don't get. People think that, well, he just does a bunch of steroids. He just trains a lot. He just eats a lot, does a bunch of steroids. No, that's part of it. But you can't even get to that level if you don't have the genetic disposition in the first place.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have the makeup, forget it, Jack. You're not going to get to that level. Even if you train your ass off, eat your ass off, etc., you just get fat and you just get out of shape. Like if you don't have the genetic code to get to that level of muscularity, it's not going to happen, man. It's only for a select few, and it's only for the people that tap into it. You know, so it's like some people don't even tap into it, and they might have the ability to be a elite responder like that. You know, like Nick Walker is an elite responder.
Yeah.
Like in a matter of a few years, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, he got to the level he's at.
He just looks absolutely nuts. His legs are just insane.
Yeah, he's a favorite, man, this year going in Olympia. He's a big favorite for people. Probably because he's young, 27-ish, right? Something like that.
I think so.
And it's like he's a new guy, but he's going to be top 5. I'm assuming he'll be top 5. Even with the lineup that exists right now for the Olympia, which is a crazy good lineup, like he's going to probably still be top 5.
Yeah.
Do you watch Bro Chat at all? Fuad's podcast?
No, I've seen Fuad's like podcast, but I forgot what was it. They had a different name before, right? Like,
Bodybuilding and Bullocks.
Yeah.
So they have that, and then they have the Bro Chat where like Nick and Guy Sister Nino and Ian will get on, and they'll all chop it up. It's funny, bro.
Yeah,
it's good shit, man.
Guy Sisterino is hella funny.
Yeah, man.
That video where he's like getting all pissed at those people like on the hack when he was doing the hack squat. Dude, that shit is so funny. That was at Destination Dallas, I'm pretty sure. I was trying to go find the fucking hack squat. I'm just like, why did he go like sit in? I was like, dude, see if this. I just get angry all of a sudden. Shit was funny.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like before you would have never thought about that. You just saw the hack squat. Oh, it's a hack squat, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like now. You want to know what that is. You want to know the difference between that one and the one you have. If it's better, how much it costs, shipment costs, etc.
Yeah.
Like if it's now, is it a real feasible thing for me to get that thing here? You know, but before it's like you didn't think about that. I'm sure you because your brain wasn't concerned with that.
Yeah,
it wasn't concerned with making your gym better, or adding something like that to your gym because you didn't even have a gym before, you know? And so now that you do, your priorities are different. They've changed. They've evolved. They just become different, you know? And my hope is that people, young, old, whatever, like they find something that they can focus on and put all their energy into that and making that, I don't want to say top notch, but making that everything they could make it. Yeah. Right. And then once they do that, then they should branch off, diversify into other areas of their life. But once they have that, that's their foundation. That's headquarters. That's what they've built. That's not going anywhere. It's bulletproof. I mean, obviously you have to still operate it, work at it, but you have it down so packed, the process that is, that you can now extend your energy to other things. And also you have the refinement from that venture in terms of the creation of it and making it into something that can extend its hand towards other ventures in your life now where you would have folded otherwise, right? You would have folded in this other small venture you're partaking in if it weren't for the fact that you built so much resiliency in that first venture. You would have folded otherwise. And that's important for people to understand, man. Like yourself, like you're going to do bigger things in the future. I know that. This is something to get you ready for those bigger things. That's going to require you possibly to have negotiating skills, to have a more psychological awareness of yourself and other people. That's going to require you to be able to communicate better, write better, speak better in general. That's going to require you to move more efficiently. And all these things are getting you prepared for that. But in the interim of it all, it's everything to you. This is everything. So this has so much impact on your psyche and your being because all you know is this. You don't see outside a year or two from now. I know I can ask you, Danny, where do you see 10 years? Where do you see yourself 10 years from now, 5 years from now? You could tell me a guesstimate. But you don't really know. You don't even know about tomorrow. You know, but so all you have is what you're immersed in presently. But what you're immersed in the present is not what the future holds for you, but it is getting you prepared. So all these things are good, right? The fact that you took this risk is good. Even if it falls flat on its face, it's good. And I wish more people would take risks knowing that falling flat on their face is a possibility.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes too, I feel like a lot of people are afraid and just like, you know, they limit themselves of what can go wrong too, like a little bit too much. Cause like, you know, it's like, you know, if it was like, oh, guaranteed, like I feel like you would go do it. Like there's a higher likelihood, you know, going to go do something, you know, that there's, you know, uncertainty in, you know, like even when I bought my first machine, like I was like, whoa, shit, like, dude, that's a lot of money, like, and that's coming from me. I'm just like, oh shit, like shit's kind of getting real, but I'm just like, all right, like, you know, I feel like there's calculated risks. You're not just taking risks just like willy-nilly, you know, and I feel like, you know, the more risk you take, you know, the more potential like benefits there could be and positive outcomes. But you know, you also like if shit hits the fan, then you can't act surprised or get mad at it necessarily. I'm like, yeah, you might get a little, you know, fucking stressed out and shit, but it's like, well, you kind of knew this was a good possibility of this happening, and you know, was, you know, I mean, you knew kind of like the level of risk to this, you know. And I feel like, you know, if there's things that are moderate risk, like I always feel like those things are worth it, you know, to go take like a moderate risk. But then when things are high, like, you know, as you continue to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like you kind of start getting, it's a little iffy though, you know, because I feel like you always have to stay a little bit like level headed too, and not get ahead of yourself, because it's like you start becoming more confident when, like, you know, you're taking risks and you're getting like the positive outcomes, you know, and you're just like, whoa, like shit's actually working out. But then it's just like, you know, something like even in like, regardless if you were to like take that next risk or not, like, you know, all of a sudden like things are falling apart, you know, and you're just like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? And you already took this risk, you know, and things start piling up, and it's like, you just got to be on top of like, you know, putting out the fires, you know? So it's just like trying to get control of it, you know, and just figure out a plan to kind of move forward, you know, and just know what you got to do, you know. I feel like too, like whenever you're taking any, like making any like decisions and stuff, and I find like a lot of importance in being decisive, because it's like you're essentially you're being more efficient in that manner, you know, learning how to. And I feel over time, like as you like start trying to become more decisive, you know, it's like you become to move like I don't like to say faster, because I don't feel like the fastest way is the best way, but you're just moving more efficiently, you know, like instead of like, you know, something, oh, like, you know, for me, like trying to buy a machine now, just depending on what it is, like, you know, I feel more confident by like, you know, things that are more like collectible or more rare and stuff that I know, like I've been wanting in the gym, you know. But compared to that in the like before, like shit, there's no way in hell like I'm gonna like, you know, try to like to risk that much to go freaking buy something. And it's like, I really don't know. But I feel just over time, just, you know, things do accumulate, you know, because if it's like, you know, I would have gotten one rare, like for, you know, like the reason why I'm mentioning the gym so much is because I've been learning a lot, you know, from the gym, even like not necessarily this instance from working out, but from a business perspective, you know, from the gym. But it's like, I don't know, it's like, just like over time, like things kind of just begin to accumulate. You know, it's like now I have all these various machines compared to if I only had one good machine, you know, it's like there wouldn't have been the same outcome, you know, and it just takes kind of time and being patient with like, you know, just slowly trusting the process and just kind of pacing things out. Like, you know, cause I don't know, I feel like at the end of the day, like, you know, it's just like for how much like, you know, hope and ambition you probably like put out there for, you know, for that gym. Oh, this is going to be the best gym ever or whatever. But it's like not up until like you have all the coolest shit and, you know, you have everything. That's when people actually will start coming, you know? So it's like not.
Is that what you noticed? Like once you had more equipment,
yeah,
people started coming in them.
Yeah. Cause I learned from one gym I went to that I already knew like had really like expensive equipment. Like, you know, they had this whole, like their whole giant first room. It was just nothing but calibrated plates. And I was like, damn, almost like, dude, this gym has like, whoever's running this thing, like knows what they're doing. They had a bunch of comp benches, like bunch of combo benches. Like, almost like, dude, this is a top notch gym right here. Like, you know, to most people, you know, just most people are just like, oh, they have good stuff there, obviously. But
what was it called?
It was called Hardcore Barbells. When I went to Vancouver in Washington, I went to go train with my buddy. He was like, I went to go like train with him for a week. This dude's a nut, man. When it comes to training, he was like front squatting, like, what was it, like 4 plates and like 35, almost 5 plates, like front squatting for 8 reps.
Is he on gear?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it doesn't matter then.
Yeah. No, he was.
What the fuck
like,
does that matter, bro?
Like before, I remember before he wasn't like, he was natural for like what 6 years, but. I just decided to take that step. Yeah,
man. I mean, that's cool. But I never understood. We've had this talk before, man. Never understood how people can set records on gear. I don't understand that. It's like that's not your natural potential. You could not do that if it wasn't for the advent of drugs. Why do you deserve to have that title? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. It exists in all sports. Bro, people that are listening to this podcast right now, and that are if they are bodybuilders and they are competitive and they are on gear and they're strongmen or they're body or powerlifters, whatever, and then it'd be like, well, that's just normal, Justin. That's what they do. Okay. I don't believe in it. I don't believe that should be something that you can adopt as an accolade when it wasn't you. You're not the one that did that put that number up. If you were not on the shit, you would have done a third of that weight. That's your real weight. So to me, it's not that. To me, you should be able to do that shit. If you're natural and you're doing far less than that, but you're natural, but it's still impressive weight, well, to me, that's more impressive. And it's not because I'm biased, because I'm natural. I would be that same way if I was on gear. I'd be that same way if I wasn't lifting weights at all. I would think that way. It doesn't make sense to me. Think about that, bro. How does that even make any logical sense? That you can put up numbers that are super physiological numbers and you're going to assume all the credit. Mm-hmm. What the fuck, dude? It doesn't make no sense. And I mean, like, people will take us to like, well, it's evident in bicycling. It's evident in all sports, baseball, football. It's like, yeah, man, I guess I don't. Across all planes, I don't believe that if you didn't do those numbers naturally, you deserve to adopt them as an actual accolade. Like, it's one thing to present a physique, even though I know all the physiques on the IFBB circuit are fake. Not fake, but I mean, like, you know, they're artificial in terms of what they look like, because they wouldn't look like that if they weren't on gear. They look like a element. They'd have there'd be a fraction of that, obviously, but I'm not judging it off of aesthetics. Like, I get aesthetics and looking a certain way, but in terms of what you can perform and what you can lift, you can get discouraged by what I'm saying or not. I mean, that's just my viewpoint. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me how we're going to give you that number when you don't really have that number. Like, you don't really have it. So it's not impressive. It's just not impressive, dude. If you were off of, if you didn't have any gear and you never did gear and you were doing numbers close to that, that's impressive. Like, even like half of that would be impressive. If you're, do you know anybody that can front squat naturally 315 for reps?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, I can, but it's rare, and it's not typical. Do you know anybody that can front squat 365? Not natural. 405? Not natural. Or I mean, not natural. You do. It's pretty frequent, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, again, boasting. I'm telling you that to me doesn't equate to an accolade. When you're getting that number from artificial enhancement, it's like, it should just be what comes with the territory. You know, like, you're creating more muscle in your body. You're adding more muscle. Naturally, you're going to get stronger. Naturally, you're going to be super physiological in terms of what you can do, what you can produce, etc. It just comes with the territory. But we shouldn't. That accolade shouldn't be present. Like, it shouldn't be something that, like, oh yeah, that guy does that shit. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you do it, but it's because of something. Anyway, I know you know how I feel on that shit, bro. Yeah. We've talked about that multiple times, and that's not to discourage your friend, or that's not to put a pejorative on your friend. Your friends, I'm sure your friend's a dope guy, and I'm sure that he has work ethic, and I'm sure that he's worked for that. I think he would agree too. I mean, most people would agree that that's just not, it's an accolade that is sort of fantasy. It's not real. It's real because you did it, but it's only real because you did it with drugs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Like, about like what, like getting like a certain weight or certain like performance like output, as far as like I don't know, at least to me, like, I don't know, like, to me, like, the part I do agree upon that is like, it's like, yeah, obviously, like, you know, they got that strong, like, they were able to get that strong, you know, because they took, you know, their PEDs, you know, they took whatever they took, like, that, you know, helped them get to that next level. But, you know, like, for me, it's just like, you know, in reality, that happened, you know. Like, that's how I look at it, you know, like, you know, I think that's cool that they get from it. But like, for me, I don't really like, you know, take anything away from them, you know, so it's like, they still got that, you know. I'm not going to go try to find out like, hey, were you on drugs doing that? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not over there, like, you know, judging a drug tested like competition. Like, you know, it's like, to me, it's just like, oh shit, like, that's what he got in the gym. I think that's cool, you know. So I don't know. I don't really hold as much weight, like, you know, as far as like, you know, if they did it on drugs or not. But it's just like, you know, if it were the instance, if they're like in a drug tested meet, or, you know, of some sort, if they're getting some sort of like, you know, if they're like some sort of like trainer or something like that, and then they were just like, oh, you can get as strong as me, or trying to use that as an advertisement to get clients, like, that's when I'd be okay. Like, dude, are you on drugs? Because I don't respect it. Like, I just feel like it's not having integrity, you know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like,
so it's like, oh, when it's accepted. So like, when it's accepted, you're saying it's okay because it's accepted in competition. It's accepted with like any level of competition that's not drug tested. It's accepted that you do that, or that you're that you look that way, or you could perform that way.
Well, I feel like I don't know, because it's already kind of like a part of that. So it's like, I don't know, like,
do you think it should be? Do you think it should have been from the gate? Like, since the orientation or the genesis of lifting. Let's go back, bro. Let's go back decades and decades and decades before Arnold was around. The very first lifters. Do you think that it should have ever been introduced?
I don't think so. It should.
Okay, so like, by that measure, you kind of think that all of this shit doesn't matter either. You're just assuming it. You're just adopting it as normalcy because it's what our culture is.
To some extent, like, I don't know, like I feel like as far as like, you know, at some point or another, like obviously there's a group of people that want to take it to like, you know, take like performance enhancing drugs to like for like competitive advantage to beat the other person.
Right, but that should have never existed is my argument. It should have never existed. Drugs should have never existed to get an edge.
Yeah, because that's literally the purpose they were just like made for. And
right, exactly.
Like there's kind of like, you know, there's no other reason other than that for them. Yeah, like certain ones were probably for certain you know, illnesses and stuff like muscle wasting diseases, but obviously like they're being misused for other purposes because they weren't technically like, you know, I know there's certain compounds out there that like, you know, they were made for, you know, muscle wasting diseases, like actual medical, like, you know, uses, but then it's like they're not used for that now, like they're discontinued, like because obviously like there's more like, you know, more appropriate medications, like medical practices to take instead of just, you know, those drugs that have a lot of like,
right,
you know. But
I really want to stress the point that I'm not discouraging against the utility of drugs, or I'm also not advocating it. I'm just simply stating my own viewpoint and how I've always seen this thing. It's not to say that I've not thought about doing steroids too, man. Like, of course, like I think
every lifter,
does. Yeah, man.
Every
like,
lifter, especially if they see somebody and then all you have to do is just have a friend. Oh yeah, I'm on SARMs. Like that's a big thing with like young kids right now. There's like a term called SARM goblins. Like it's just like, dude, like, you know, I've had like, you know, some like 18-year-old kids like come ask me like, you know, when I'm like at the gym, like at midnight, there's nobody there, and they're like being serious too, like, hey man, I've been trying to learn about like performance enhancing like stuff, and just like, you know, it's like all these kids like 18, 16, like 15-year-olds, like they all know about all these fucking compounds. I'm like,
yeah, bro, like unless you're not,
that's fucked up, dude.
Yeah, bro, unless you're not doing this at a competitive level, don't do drugs. Yeah. But when you have somebody that is immersed in the competitive circuit, and that is their goal to get to become a pro, and then retain the professional level by winning I tell you retain it, but continue to be relevant as a pro by winning pro shows, etc., and that's your pursuit, then that's an automatic. That's what you should do. You should, because that's the only way you're going to be competitive with the people that you're competing against.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get smoked. So you have to, right? And I'm not discouraging against that, because I have some friends that are in that field, and I love those people, dude. Like those people have some of the most sweetest, kindest hearts that I've ever witnessed. But it has nothing to do with that. It's just like that's just what they have to do in order to become competitive and win. And that's a part of their pursuit. I'm saying it like I wish we could go back since the beginning of time, since the days of...
Because it was mostly like in the 60s and stuff.
Yeah, since the beginning days when
it's like Cold War, when like with the Russians, that's when they started making all these compounds.
For world wars, for the World War, right? For burn victims, etc.
Yeah.
But I wish we could go back to the beginning days of bodybuilding when the people first started lifting weights and developing the body into something of like aesthetically pleasing. And I just wish it would have continued. That's all I'm saying. Because then it would just be what you have is what you have. And then the elite would be really, truly elite. Because there's no way that they could have been artificial, so to speak. But again, I have many friends, I have 3 friends that are immersed in this competitive field. And bro, I love them. Like they're great people. It has nothing to do with them on a personal level. I just wish that we could go back and take it away completely, because then you would see what people are really made of. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that these people that do drugs, their work ethic isn't high and wouldn't be high if they didn't do drugs. Because I know that. Like there's certain people that have a work ethic. One in particular comes to mind that She would have the work ethic, period. If it weren't for anything, she'd have the work ethic, and she would bust her ass regardless if she were on anything. You know what I mean? But it's just because that's her, she deems it important. And this is something that is her identity, and it makes her better. And it cultivates a sense of, I think like all of us, like it cultivates a sense of belonging. Like we belong to something, and the camaraderie that's centered around that, and just the whole advent of community. And then we're drawn to that. It's like you're drawn to people that lift weights. I'm drawn to people that do certain things. You know, I mean, like we find our community, and when we establish that, we want to keep continuing in that community. We want to keep functioning in that community.
Yeah.
You know, but it's important to find your community nonetheless. I really want to specify that because I don't want people to think that I'm against it. I'm not trying to be disparaging towards that crowd. I'm just saying I wish it was never existent for anybody, athletes, anybody. I just wish that we could have seen this thing cultivate organically within people.
Yeah.
You know, and it just be something that you did on your own, and whatever you had is what you had, you know? So.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else, Danny?
Yeah.
What else, Danny? I've been talking a lot, man. You have to talk more, man.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I feel like, you know, that's definitely changed a lot of things. You know, there'd be numerous amount of things all throughout, you know, all these decades that would have been a lot different. You know, if those things haven't, you know, that those performance enhancing drugs weren't like really a thing, you know. But I don't know. It kind of makes you think though, like at one point or the other, like would it would have, like, you know, if it wasn't in the 60s or whatever, like would it became a thing anyways, like, you know.
There's definitely utility to steroids. I mean, there was definitely utility to it. And I mean, people do them to be competitive, right? And they do them to get the edge. And they also do them to see what kind of potential they have, because it'll maximize potential, like to the umpteenth degree. You not wanting to do it, it kind of showcases, you know, I guess I should say it like this. If you do want to do it and you want to see what you're made of, it only proves that, likely to be the case, it only proves that you want to see this thing really play out.
Yeah.
And you're so committed that you want to see what the next level looks like. And that's an admirable trait in anybody. Should it come at the expense of your health? That's in question, right?
Yeah.
Like that's in question. And that's for the people to decide. We obviously have our different viewpoints on it and our takes on it, etc. But the fact that you want to see what your commitment could be, what it could turn into, is admirable. And that's the reason why people more often than not take this shit for that and to be competitive. So, but I would think that if, look, nobody took this shit, nobody would have that inclining to take anything or to want an edge, because it wouldn't be apparent. But then again, maybe not. Maybe because we're evolving people, we would always look to something as like a edge. It just is a matter of time when it comes out, or who invents it, or what they invent, you know. And then it would become secrecy on the black market, and then, you know, slowly but surely it would leak its way to the mainstream public, you know. Because that's how we are. We're constantly evolving as humans. We constantly want to be better. We want more. We want to be bigger, faster, stronger, etc. So I guess what I'm saying doesn't even make any sense, because at the end of the day, us as humans, we're going to find a way to make ourselves better. In some respect.
Yeah.
It's going to happen and leak out in some way, you know?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You know, I'm, you know, the first time we ever did a podcast, you were very timid in the beginning. You remember that?
Yeah.
And this one, you're so much more comfortable.
I feel like too, like I've just been, well, I wrote I think I'm more just like comfortable talking like around people. Like, I don't know. It's kind
It
of
seems like it, man. Yeah.
It just too, because I think it's kind of weird now, because I feel like it's like I'm always like, I don't want to say forced in conversations, but I talk to a lot of people nowadays, and then a lot of it has to do with the gym. You know, it's like I go out, I always see somebody I know, because it's just, you know, it's a part of the community. You know, like, you know, it's cool, but like, you know, sometimes I'm just like, dude, sometimes I want to go like hide, you know, but like, you know, because it's like, fuck, that's what it just makes me think of. Just like, you know, there's people just like, you know, like I remember someone that comes to mind is like Rich Piana. It's like, you know, like I remember him talking about like, you know, he was like always super nice, that like people would always want to go take a picture with him. I'm just like dang, dude, like how do you go to get stuff done, you know? Like to me, I'm just like, I'm focused, and like I don't like to feel like I'm bombarded. Like it's not like I have a problem talking with people, it's just like sometimes it just like, you know, stresses me out, you know, but like I get engaged in the conversation and everything. Like I love talking to people, like at the same time, but it's like, shit, sometimes I gotta do stuff, and then like, oh fuck, like I'm talking for too long, and like,
well,
it's kind of, but
no, you definitely feel more you definitely seem more comfortable talking, and like, and just engaging in different topics, and taking the reins, you know, vocally, so to speak. You know, it's a good thing, man, because it shows evolution. You know, it shows growth, and I think that's the thing that we're all after, man. We also are impatient as fuck,
yeah,
and we can't wait to get wiser, more evolved, better, more efficient. We just can't wait, man. But that burden is a good thing, because it's better to have that burden and not reach it yet than to have that burden and not care about it, or to not have that burden entirely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, good problems, good stress.
Right.
You know, so it's just like, you know, it's like, you know, the gym's growing. Like it just seems like out of nowhere, and I'm just like it's so weird, because it's like usually like just, I don't know, like I've been running the gym for like year and a half now, but it's like, you know, kind of based upon like, I'm just basing off like the year before and stuff like that, or just, you know, even previous numbers. But it's like, I'm like, damn, dude, usually this is like the slower time of the year. I'm like, dude, it's busier now than it was like even like peak summer. Like, I'm like, you know, but it's just like how the fuck am I gonna get mad about that? Like, you know, it's just like, to me, it's just like, it's just happening so fast. Like, as far as just like, you know, it's just like, hey, like, you know, more people coming to sign up, you know, and I'm like, I'm not trying to fumble shit, because I'm just like, because for me, like lately I've started learning about myself to, I'm like, why does it feel like I'm always like lagging all the time? But it's just like, it's weird, because it's like I spend a lot of my time preparing. It's like I realize like I don't like to feel like I'm not prepared, you know. It's just like, so I feel like, you know, you're preparing for an opportunity, and you're just like, you know, you're just like, I don't know, once an opportunity arises, you don't want to fumble it. You want to be prepared and know what to do. Like you want to have a plan. You already know what to do, you know. Then that's when you see like a window like out of something, and able to move like, you know, like quickly, or at least have an idea on how to move a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, too, like it's kind of weird. Like I've gotten more comfortable just being myself, you know, because it's just like I'm like putting myself out there type of thing. And I know I was more timid, you know, but I'm glad at least it's like this way, you know, because it's like, you know, sometimes like there's certain things I'd kind of be afraid like to be myself with, and I'm just like, I kind of don't like care as much, you know. I'm glad it's that way, because it seriously was never like that way at all.
Yeah, it's a liberating feeling, man, to not necessarily put the same kind of stringent criteria on yourself as you would have otherwise, you know, a year or two ago, when it comes to like displaying who you are for the public, you know. And a funny thing is when you act the way that you innately or rather have a proclivity to act, you naturally attract the people that A, fuck with that, and then B, you obtain respect from people. Because it's a funny thing, people can gauge whether you're being authentic or not. It really can.
Yeah.
Even if you're a great manipulator, like let's say, I'm not saying you are, but that's a good thing, by the way, if you're not. If you're a great manipulator and you're mischievous and you have these, narcissistic traits to you that would otherwise lend their hand towards you getting what you want by any means necessary, sort of Machiavellian like, that you could do that and you could end up gaining whatever that is, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be happy in the process, or maybe possibly you will, right? It just depends on your personality traits. But I would say that you trying to your act of being authentic, even if you think you're not doing a good job at it, people can discern whether you're being authentic or not. And again, even if you're trying to manipulate, people can discern through the weeds how you are or how that person is, which is the reason why relatability, like the way that a person is going to be attracted to you, is based on essentially if they can accept your authenticity. Like how authentic are you being? Like, and you can tell a lot about that from the person's tonality, from their eye language. I call it eye language. I don't even know if it's a real thing, but it's how I read people. And essentially the eyes are a part of the brain, man.
Yeah.
So, and that's a part of the nervous system. So you can tell a lot by someone's eyes and how they're they're communicating with you. Yeah. And people, because we're human beings, we pick up on normal human traits, and that attracts us. You can swindle people. If you're a manipulator, you can swindle people. You can be conniving and get what you want, but at the end of the day, long term, it's not going to serve you, and they're going to end up finding out who you are in real time sooner or later.
Yeah, that's why I never understood, as far as like, individuals, and like lately, like, I don't know, as I'm like, having to, have had to deal with certain individuals, it just like how I was telling you about the people you keep around, and just like, I don't know, like talking to different people. Like another aspect that's helped me feel like more confident is just being able to, discern like how genuine they're being, and then your gut picks it up too. And it's kind of interesting now, because I feel like I listen a lot better, more than ever. And it's kind of weird, because I'm just trying to, like, for some reason, I'm just trying to learn how to pick up on how like honest they're being, because it's like, it's kind of weird, because like, yeah, your gut can tell you a lot, and you pick up on certain things, but it's like, like sooner or later the truth comes out. So that's why I never see what's the point of not being authentic. Like, what's the point of manipulating, especially manipulating? Like, that is like number one thing I always look for, because it's like, because I know how people will twist things around, and I've been manipulated plenty of times to like, learn. Like, I feel a lot of us have been manipulated, but but as far as like it helping me like find the importance, I feel like, going through, like, certain pains I went through, like, of having to deal with people that are being manipulative or being narcissistic and shit like that, like through their actions, because it's like I feel the best way to kind of discern that is like, I don't know, it's like paying attention to consistency, obviously paying attention to what they're saying, but like aligning that to what their actions are consistently being, it's like, because I remember one thing, like I remember I called you one time about something that with a business partner I had, and one thing that stuck with me that you said was like, it's like a child, like you just have to tell them once, if you keep entertaining their bullshit, it makes them start to feel like they're actually right, because you keep entertaining, you keep have to argue with it like they actually have a point. And it's kind of weird, because that made me feel like that helped me out a lot, as far as the sense of like, you only have to say things once, and people that are trying to manipulate you, they'll keep twisting things around, and just like trying to like they'll try to get you to say things, they'll a lot of times they seem like really good listeners. I know it sounds kind of weird that I'm like, oh, I really like to listen, but it's like they'll like contradict themselves, you know, and it's kind of like you're just hyper paying attention to what adds up with what, like how it connects, like things, something like, you know how you say when things just don't add up, you know, and that's when you communicate to them to see what their explanation is, you know, about things, you know, of how, like, hey, like you see a little discrepancy, like, you know, depends on how close you're trying to have this person, you know, like to some people you kind of know for what level you're kind of like taking them as of, you know, everybody has like their own needs and stuff of like, you know, what, you know, they need in their own life as far as like, you know, individuals. But, you know, for, you know, someone that you're kind of like potentially like risking to hold close to you, because it's like that can be very damaging because you're holding, you know, them in a vulnerable spot, you know, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's really important to you know, pay attention to, you know, to know what you're accountable for and what the other person is accountable for, you know, and just being, you know, to real with things and not letting like anger and stuff like get in, like, you know, cloud your judgment. Because, you know, when you feel like you're being betrayed or you're being burned by somebody, like it doesn't feel good at all. Like you get pissed, you get hurt because you felt, you believed their facade and it wasn't that way, you know. Because essentially they're trying to lure you in some form or the other to whatever they're trying to get themselves to believe. But it's kind of interesting sometimes too, because those same people, like the way they'll get bought into their own like facade of things. It's really interesting, you know. It's really weird because they'll act like you're like what they're saying is true though, even though they know it's not. It's really interesting.
Well, they believe their own lies, right?
Yeah.
We better wrap this up, man. It's 2 hours in.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Hey, man. So, obviously, it was a pleasure having you, bro. But I want you to tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. I'm always at the gym. So,
Central Coast Barbell. Social media-wise.
Well, I mean, on my social media, you can always hit me up. It's my name, Danny Arevalo. So, it's DANNY. And my last name, AREVALO, and then I put an H at the end, like O, like oh, okay. But yeah, you can always hit me up. I'm always Instagram. DM him, people. Yeah.
Women, show him your boobs. Oh my God. Send him a pic. I'm just playing. Oh, I'm just playing. All right, brother. Until next time, man.
All right. Oh yeah, man.
Thank you, brother. Bye. Done.
Fuck yeah, dude.